That's right. This is an air emergency that now threatens the life of almost every Indian in a major city in the country, with the national capital region of New Delhi perhaps the worst affected. Every time at this time of the year, Delhi's pollution level reaches intolerable levels. But as we've seen in the last few weeks, those levels are rising across several parts of India. The Supreme Court is fulminating, is very angry. Citizens are breathless. Governments, it appears, seem helpless. So what is the solution amidst the noise over air pollution to the problem of air pollution? Hello and welcome to this week's Roundtable, where we will first seek some accountability from our political parties and then hopefully solutions from experts. So let's kick off the roundtable with representatives from the Aam Aadmi Party, the party in power in the national capital. The epicenter of the foul air is Delhi, as I said. From the Congress, the party in power in Punjab, which remember is another of the states under the scanner. And Harish Khurana from the BJP, the party in power at the center. Joining me now, Reena Gupta, AAP spokesperson, Amar Panwar, Congress spokesperson, Harish Khurana, BJP spokesperson. Thank you all very much for joining us on the air pollution roundtable. I want solutions from politicians. Reena Gupta, you want to start because your party has spent, according to an RTI, more than 900 crores on air pollution campaigns in terms of advertising. But where are the solutions? What is the Aam Aadmi Party's solution to pollution beyond the blame game of blaming the neighboring states of Delhi?
Rajdeep, first of all, you need to get your data correct. That was a false figure reported in one of the newspapers, which they corrected it the next day. So that 900 crores is a wrong figure.
No, so
now,
how much? Okay,
issue,
you're saying I have gone by the RTI which was made public. You're claiming it's a wrong RTI. Please tell me, how much has the Aam Aadmi Party then spent on air pollution measures to control air pollution?
Oh, I thought you were saying 900 crores is spent on advertisements.
I'm
sorry, I misheard you.
Okay, so it's advertisements plus efforts that you all have taken. You all claim is over 900 crores.
So, Rajdeep, first of all, let me begin by saying that air pollution is not a Delhi problem. It's a North India problem. And if you look at the airshed of Delhi, Rajdeep, it's at least 200 to 300 kilometer radius of Delhi. And unless you have all the neighboring states coming together and working on the issue of pollution year after year, we will continue to have the same issue. That's point number one. Point number two, last week, Center for Science and Environment, a very well-respected organization of the country, released a report where they looked at air pollution data for the last 15 days. And their report says that 70% of pollution in Delhi, Rajdeep, 70% of pollution in Delhi originates from NCR areas, from outside Delhi. This is a public figure, it's a public data. So 70% of PM 2.5 originates from outside Delhi. In 2016, TERI did a similar study where they came out with the result that 64% of PM 2.5 in Delhi originates from outside Delhi. So, Rajdeep, the point that I'm making is that one cannot create a boundary wall around Delhi. This is an interstate issue, and this is where one expects the central government to take leadership. You ask for solutions.
No, Reena, I just want to point out, since you gave numbers, how pollution adds up in winter. Industry is 30%, dust is 17%, transport is 20%. Now, if I add that up, it's actually more than 60% or almost over 70% that just comes from these three categories.
Yes, Rajdeep, this is a breakdown of the 30% that comes from Delhi. So when you say 30% industry, which it is 30% of 30%, the point that I'm making is that Delhi's contribution is only 30%. So there is only so much leeway you have to do things in Delhi. And whatever needs to be done, I will just list out what all we've done. Rajdeep, we are the only state in the country that have transferred all our industry to clean fuel. If you look at the Supreme Court order, which came out 2 days ago, Supreme Court has said that all industry needs to move to clean fuel. So we transferred everything to clean fuel, which was not transferred, was shut down. Delhi lost on the economic activity. What happened? Those Karkhanas just move to the NCR areas and continue to pollute Delhi. So unless you have all the NCR governments together, agree on a time-bound targets, milestones, why can't we do that? This is what China did in 2013, Rajdeep. Beijing was under a similar situation as Delhi. They set up a provincial authority. This authority gave targets to each city in the province. Each city had a target. There was a number figure put on each target that if you reduce your PM 2.5 by so and so micrograms, you actually get additional money from the central government. If you don't, you are penalized. So why can't we do something similar in India?
Okay, so you've
no
given me one.
To do anything.
Rina, it's good that you've given me a solution that you claim can be borrowed from China. Set up an authority that in a way monitors which part of the national capital region or indeed entire North India, how much of pollution is generated from which part of the state, and thereby find ways in which each of these states are monitored and if necessary rewarded and penalized. Amar Panwar, you put up your hand, so why don't you respond? Congress party is in power in Punjab. Stubble burning is seen as one of the major consequences or one of the major reasons for pollution. Is the Congress party going to hold up its hand and say a mea culpa on this program that you two haven't done enough? And what is your solution?
Rajdeep, I must tell you that if we were to take into account these three states, UP, Haryana, Punjab, the efforts that the Congress party has put in Punjab will surpass both the others. We have collected more than 6 crore rupees fine for stubble burning. We have registered 1737 FIRs. We have made available 2,50,307 machines, happy tillers and other machine equipments so that this stubble burning problem somehow stops. However,
many of these machines are dysfunctional. We did a story on India Today a few days ago, an investigation that showed many of these machines are dysfunctional. Many of the farmers are not using these machines.
I'm sure many of them must be. Let me get back to facts. The fact is, whereas in Delhi, while the AQI is more than 400, the AQI in Chandigarh is about 100, 120. And you say that the Aam Aadmi Party blames Punjab, etc. for stubble burning and for the bad AQI that we have in Delhi. So my direct question is that if stubble burning is to be solely held responsible for this problem, then how come in Punjab the AQI is three times better than Delhi?
Okay.
And in January, when there is no stubble burning,
Aman, the fact is Delhi's population cannot be compared to that of Chandigarh. Just a minute, Rina.
I can.
Delhi's population, just a minute. Delhi's population, Aman.
My point.
Just a minute. Delhi's population can't be compared to Chandigarh. My point to you is, what is your long-term solution to ensure that Punjab ensures that it too controls pollution emerging from there to the rest of of North India?
Very rightly said, Rajdeep, that Delhi's population cannot be compared to that of Chandigarh. And that is the sole reason. And there was a study conducted by IIT Kanpur in 2016 for the Kejriwal government, which listed out the major factors for the Delhi pollution problem. And let me quote from that study. Road dust, they say, contributes 38%. Vehicular pollution contributes 20 to 25%. Local industrial pollution contributes about 10%. Construction dust contributes to about 10 to 15%. So almost 75% of the pollution problem is because of sources within Delhi, and as very rightly said, because of the population, because of the number of cars plying on the roads of Delhi. So what is the solution? And as what the Chief Justice of India said is back. Chief Justice said that if an effective public transport is a countermeasure to the Delhi air problem. And what is the status of public transport in Delhi? That is very important. In 2013, when Sheila Dikshit was in office, she demitted office with 5,600 DTC buses plying on the roads of Delhi. Today, there are only 3,000 buses plying on the roads of Delhi. Now, if you see the metro ridership figures are very interesting. Earlier, the highest metro fare in Delhi in 2013, when the Congress government was there, the highest anybody had to pay was 30 rupees for the longest distance they could travel. Today, they are paying 60 rupees. And as per Delhi government's own report, metro ridership has gone down to 1.5 lakh riders. Less riders are riding metro.
No. So what? I want a solution. No. 1 minute. Aman Panwar, I'll give you 30 more seconds. I'll give you 30 more seconds to give me a solution. Give me a solution in a city where more and more people travel by cars. What is your solution?
The solution is that Mr. Kejriwal, rather than blowing public money on large advertisements, full-page advertisements, should buy buses, should invest in lowering metro fare so that people leave two-wheelers, four-wheelers, and they are more dependent on public transport. We are the only capital in the world which has gone into reverse migration from public transport to private vehicles.
Okay.
And Mr. Kejriwal is sleeping on this.
Okay.
This is the solution.
Okay.
Concentrate on public transport.
Okay. You're saying concentrate on public transport, ensure that the number of vehicular traffic is reduced, thereby ensuring, creating perhaps less congestion, which in your view is one of the critical factors for pollution. Let's come to my...
IIT Kanpur says that.
Okay, you're going by the IIT Kanpur report. Harish Khurana, what is your solution? This BJP is in power in the center. The BJP is accused of not making enough effort in the last 7 years to bring all these governments together. UP is your government, Haryana is your government, and you could have reached out and brought all these governments together to work to specific targets.
Rajdeep, till that time, you will do a phrase called Hindi phrase called topi transfer. Till the time Delhi government is passing on the buck to others, there will be no concrete solution to the problem which we are facing since last 10 years or so. Also, Delhi government is always in a denial mode. We should know what the actual problem is. I was listening to the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson. She says 70% of the problem comes from outside sources. I am giving a small data to you guys. The origin from of Parali, this stubble burning, comes from Punjab and Haryana. And the Haryana AQI level was, yesterday was 148 and 157 in Haryana, but Delhi was 699. So if origin of Parali, of stubble burning, if they are from Punjab and Haryana, the AQI level should be 600, 500, 600 more than that. But the fact is, 70% of the problem comes from the vehicle emissions, dust problems. Unfortunately, Delhi government has done nothing on this. 3,765 DTC buses are on the road and 1,758 buses are on the road from contractual buses. You will surprised to know that, Rajdeep, 3,750 all buses of DTC are above 10 years and 12 years, which is under the scrapping stage right now. Where are the buses? We have seen that
Mr. Khurana,
green budget is coming.
Mr. Khurana, I asked you a question. You make a valid point. No. You are expressing your concern, but why has the centre and the Supreme Court on more than one occasion has said there seems to be an inertia in the bureaucracy to bring states together?
Rajdeep, we have done a lot of things for Delhi. First, Eastern-Western peripheral is brought by central government only in Delhi. 60,000 odd trucks are not coming in Delhi right now. We are seeing the daily jam on Dhaula Kuan when we are traveling to airport or Gurgaon, which is not right now. We have seen Delhi-Ghazipur express highway to Meerut. We have made that. We have done a lot of efforts.
What stops the Modi government from setting up an authority on environment that brings all these states together? Reena Gupta has given a solution. Why can't we have a China-like solution?
Rajdeep, we should understand the basic problem of 70% is inside Delhi problem. Like today, 19 lakh vehicles in Delhi are PUC. No, wait. 19 lakh vehicles are without PUC is plying on the road. Who will take care of that? Delhi government has to do it now.
Okay.
Any authority will not come
and do this. Harish, you made your point.
No.
Okay, Harish, you made your point now. Let Reena respond. She's been quietly listening to both of you. She's listened to both of you. Reena?
30 seconds.
Yes.
30 seconds more.
Okay.
30 seconds more.
Yes.
You need a visionary government. Imagine today what happened if metro was not there in Delhi. When Madanlal Khurana was chief minister and Sheila Dixit continued. Sheila Dikshit continued and brought the metro in Delhi. That was a vision which has been given by Delhi.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have a vision.
I'm going to stop you there. It's interesting that a BJP leader is supporting Sheila Dikshit's vision for Delhi, but
Fact
go ahead.
is fact.
Okay.
The fact is
Reena, the fact is...
Madanlal Khurana,
Okay, 1 minute.
BJP
1 minute.
government has bought
No, 1
metro.
minute now. Now,
That
1
has been
minute.
continued by Sheila Dikshit.
No, Harish, 1 minute. Reena Gupta, the fact is that one of the critical challenges is at the moment to ensure more effective transportation system that in a way promotes the idea of promoting clean fuel, clean air. Do you concede that that should be the challenge?
So Rajdeep, it's very interesting
What's
that
the
both
solution
of
to
them
that?
kept pointing figures. Let me first counter what all these both of these gentlemen have said. It's very interesting. Both of them kept blaming the Delhi government. They did not cite a single thing that either of them did.
You are the elected government.
No, Aman, I won't let you cross talk.
No. No cross talking, please. You know, the basic science of air pollution. If it's being burned upstream,
other voices down.
it will all...
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, if Parali is being burnt upstream, it will come downstream and pollute Delhi. This argument that they give every day that Punjab cities are cleaner and Haryana cities are cleaner, because all that smoke is coming down. This is basic science. But the point, Rajdeep, is that what stops the central government from taking leadership? I'll give you a few examples. We shut down the 2 thermal power plants in Delhi. Punjab, Haryana are using outdated technology, continue to pollute. As a result of this, we are buying expensive electricity from the grid. But that pollution from Punjab and Haryana polluting power plants, which are currently being shut by Supreme Court, continues to come to Delhi. We stopped all the dirty fuel in Delhi.
Give me your solution to vehicular pollution. Give me your solution to vehicular pollution. What is the Delhi government solution to vehicular pollution?
So we have 7,000 buses in Delhi right now. We've ordered 3,000 more buses, 1,000 electric buses. They're all coming in. Rajdeep, we are giving one of the biggest subsidy on electric cars. All new vehicles in Delhi now, 7% vehicles in Delhi are electric. So we want to move more and more towards electric. But Rajdeep, till you have leadership from the central government to bring everybody together, why do you allow this blame game?
Okay.
Why do you allow this blame game? Why can't you set targets with measurable
it's very interesting that...
the states?
Okay, you're saying that... Okay, Reena, you're saying the center must play the role of coordination at least. Aman Panwar, you go ahead. Just a minute. 1 minute. No cross talk. Aman Panwar, you give me your solution. If y'all were in power, what would you do? I don't want the blame game. Give me your solution.
At the first instance, if we would have been in power, we would have taken an in-principle decision to divert all public money being blown away on advertisement and publicity to purchase buses, to augment public transport. And you will be shocked to know that in the last 6 years, Arvind Kejriwal has not purchased a single DTC bus in Delhi, not a single one.
Because
that
the
is
buses
a fact.
are under the cluster scheme, sir. How does it
Just wait.
The buses are on the road.
Just wait.
They're under the cluster scheme. They're under a different scheme.
One by one,
They're
please.
not owned by DTC.
Yes.
Can she keep quiet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Secondly,
The buses are under the
Rajdeep,
cluster scheme.
it is for the first time in the history of Delhi, ever since Delhi Metro has started flying, that phase 3 and phase 4 of the Delhi Metro, it has been delayed for more than 1.5 years. Before that, every other phase was completed at least 2 months, 3 months in advance. That was the level of construction of Delhi Metro. For the first time, it has been delayed.
Yeah, okay. So there is a COVID reason for that. But your larger point is you believe there is
a solution.
You're saying if you were just a minute, ma'am.
Third thing, Rajdeep, just let me complete.
Yes.
Just 10 seconds more.
Yes.
As per Delhi government's own data released today, the AQI of Delhi in the last 5-6 days has reduced from 600 to 340. And what has happened in the last 3-4 days? Parali has not stopped burning. The other pollution sources which they claim to be from outside state has not
Adani
stopped
has gone
burning.
down.
Has not.
Rajdeep.
And you know what has happened in the last 3-4 days? Because of work from home, because of less cars flying on the roads of Delhi, because of the
No, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute.
of the Supreme Court.
Okay,
There is less vehicular pollution.
So
there is no construction
Rajdeep.
activity in Delhi.
No, you can't
There is
stop.
no construction activity in Delhi.
Yes.
And because of that, there is a reduction in
you
pollution
cannot-
by 40 to 50%.
Okay,
That is what has happened in the last
Raj,
4
Yeah,
days.
but the truth is you cannot stop construction activity round the year. These are only emergency measures. These are not long-term measures. I want
You need to make some norms.
I want long-term
You
measures.
cannot
Harish,
You should not blame on sources outside Delhi.
Okay.
At least stop
Rajiv,
blaming it
can I
on
come?
sources
okay,
outside
Aman,
Delhi.
you made your point.
Rajdeep, 10 seconds.
You want a solution?
Harish?
I'll give you a solution.
Yeah, please give me a solution.
Rajdeep, we should have a last mile connectivity and we should incentivize the people should use public transport. But the unfortunate part is, the party saying is we have ordered 3,000 buses. We should understand 3,750 buses which are plying on the road by the DTC is going to be scrapped by next year. We should understand we need 12,000 buses in Delhi. 12,000. 1,000, 2,000 is not a solution. You're talking about we need a chemotherapy, but you're giving a paracetamol. No, 12,000 buses is required. Last mile connectivity should be there. Otherwise, people will not use public transport.
Okay,
Point
so
number one.
I think what we've come to
spend a lot of money.
I think we've accepted that vehicular
Rajdeep,
pollution
just 10
is a
seconds.
major
10
challenge.
seconds.
Reena, I'll give you 30 seconds at the very end. Do you all also accept that you need to find in the next 12 months, before next November, October, November, a solution to ensure that more and more people use effective public transport?
Yes.
Absolutely agree with you, Rajdeep, and we are working on it. We've been working on it. We are working on it. As far as the metro fare is concerned, we wanted to reduce the metro
You
fare,
have
but it
not
was the central
bought a single
government
bus.
that did not allow us to reduce the metro
Topi
fare.
transfer.
As far as AQI
Topi
of other
transfer.
cities is concerned, Rajdeep, yesterday Panipat was 942. So,
Topi
let's not
transfer.
get into this blame game. The whole of northern India
Topi
is
transfer.
under
Okay.
severe
Again,
I am going to stop the three of you.
Let's
I
not
wish
get into this blame
I
game.
will, I wish the government of India brought all the parties together in a quiet room.
Absolutely.
Mr. Kejriwal, Mr. Manohar Lal Khattar, Mr. Yogi Adityanath, the Punjab
Where the
government,
Kejriwal
Mr.
is?
Channi, all of them should be sitting across a table and now this year deciding for next year. Forget your politics, forget the blame game, find long-term structural solutions to the problem of environmental pollution. I appreciate my politicians joining us. I've kept the politicians separate to the experts who now join us. Akhar is Chairman, Bharat Krishak Samaj. Dr. Gufran Beg is Project Director at Safar. Vidyut Mohan is CEO Takachar. And Tanushri Ganguly is Program Lead Council on Energy, Environment and Water. Appreciate all of you joining us. Let's come to each of you first. Vidyut, I want to start with you. You've been recently awarded also in Britain for your work that you've done to try and find out solutions to stubble burning in particular. Give us what you think is a long-term solution to ensure we don't go through this year after year.
Thank you, Rajdeep, for having me. What we have developed are small-scale, low-cost portable equipment that process agricultural waste like rice straw into valuable products like fuels or fertilizers. And what we're looking into in Punjab and Haryana is how we can process these rice straws in a decentralized manner at the village level by having the machine very close to the farms and process them into a carbon-rich fertilizer, which we can then sequester in the soil and also get an improvement in crop yields. And
So are these
there three benefits
affordable?
to this.
Are these affordable machines that farmers, small and large farmers, small farmers can also afford?
So yes, so the model that we're trying to develop right now through a pilot in Haryana is to see how we can develop a rental model and get the machine financed upfront to reduce the upfront cost drastically.
Okay, that's interesting. Ajay Veer Jakar, you want to respond to that because, a section of people have targeted farmers and said farmers have not embraced modern technology, stubble burning, and there are various figures depending on who you talk to, is primarily responsible for the spike. Now, the center said in an affidavit that only 4% is because of stubble burning. But the larger issue, Are farmers willing to embrace modern technology of the kind that Vidyut speaks about?
So let's put it this way, the farmers are farming, they're using agriculture practices that were taught by government institutions, funded by public sector, funded by taxpayers' money. So we've been taught a certain set of practices for maybe 5-10 generations now. For a change to happen, it will take time. So having said that, yes, stubble burning is a problem. And to solve the problem of stubble burning in perpetuity, let's say for a long term, we need to reduce the amount of paddy grown in Punjab. Now that requires a policy approach on how it will be done, how the transition pain of the farmers will be addressed. But there are other ways, because we're looking at solutions, there are other ways to do it. One of the ways was what has just been discussed. This technology needs to be assessed not only in terms of affordability, it also needs to be assessed in terms of how much fossil fuel will be used to make that conversion happen.
But is there enough awareness, Ajay?
Sorry?
Is there enough awareness? Are farmers aware of the problem?
Yes, farmers are very much aware of the problem and they are fighting against it with the back to the wall. They suffer more than I think people in Delhi suffer. Yes, it's a pollution problem that happens every year for 3 weeks, and it can be solved with a longer term approach. Of leading to crop diversification. I think that's what's required. And without a partnership between the central government and the state government and the private sector, this problem is not going away.
You're making a very important point in terms of solutions, crop diversification, not just technology, but encourage, incentivize farmers to diverse their crops. I just want to, for a moment, come to what the politicians said. Tanushree Ganguly, the politicians insist, at least the opposition politicians in Delhi, Congress and BJP, that vehicular pollution is the main problem. Forget about stubble burning. First, handle the manner in which you haven't done enough to ensure vehicular pollution is controlled. Incentivize more public transport. Find ways in which you can control dust on roads. How do you respond? Do you see a solution?
I mean, absolutely. But I have a different perspective on this. Now, Delhi's geographical position, the kind of regions that surround Delhi, the meteorological conditions that the entire Indo-Gangetic Plain experiences, particularly during winter, when all of these things come together, you cannot really single out a particular source. Absolutely, interventions are needed to control pollution from the vehicles, but that alone will not make the cut. We need solutions across sectors.
So give me the solutions. Where would you start?
Yeah, so when we talk about vehicular pollution, we know that it's about augmenting public transport, and we need to disincentivize use of private transport. The vehicle restrictions need to kick in. Congestion pricing needs to kick in so that people are compelled to transition over to public transit. Similarly, waste management needs to be improved. So there are sectoral solutions, but what I really want to talk about is, more on the operations side and the administrative side. The governance of air pollution in the Indo-Gangetic problem is another problem in itself, right? Because all the states contribute to each other's pollution depending upon the wind direction and the time of the year. So I want to address those things a little bit, because those are the things which are not primarily talked about when we talk about the air pollution discourse. The first thing, Rajdeep, you've spoken to the politicians about this, that we need a body which should be responsible for facilitating coordination between the states. Delhi NCR and the adjoining states have a body called the Commission on Air Quality Management for NCR and adjoining areas. That particular body has been mandated for this very purpose. So the first thing is that the CAQM needs to up its game. At this point in time, today, there are 2 forecasting systems that we have for Delhi. So basically, today I know what the air quality is going to be like in the next 72 hours. But these insights have to be picked up very actively by the CAQM to issue directions. We cannot wait for 9 severe days to pass through to issue some kind of directives. We need to act preemptively. That is the most important point. And like I said, we need a plan which spans across the states. If there is a plan which is mandated under the CAQM Act, which every state in the Indo-Gangetic Plain has to follow, then we will not see regional influences coming in. And this is very critical, because if we don't mandate a regional plan, And at any point in time, the state can say, I don't need to do my part. But we have to understand air pollution and air in general cannot be confined. There is movement of air. So whatever is the plan, it cannot be localized. It had to be regional. So those are the couple of points that I want to
The reason I asked you this, Tanushree, is because the Aam Aadmi Party representative Reena Gupta cited the example of China and said when Beijing's crisis had, in around 2013, they had a provincial body was set in place which had powers for the entire region in and around Beijing to monitor air quality and set a plan in place. Do you believe that you need a body, which you are saying, which state governments will have to necessarily, in a way, accept that each state government will be forced by law to accept what a autonomous body outside state supervision decides? Am I correct?
Absolutely. And the CAQM has been brought in for that purpose. It just needs to function that way. We have the body, we have the legality in place. What we don't have is a legally mandated plan for the different states to follow, particularly during winter.
Okay.
And I do not agree that other cities are not as polluted as Delhi. Cities in Haryana, Faridabad, Ballabgarh, they are polluted. Cities in Uttar Pradesh, Ghaziabad, Greater Noida, they are polluted. Jind is polluted. Bhatinda is polluted. So every city in the Indo-Gangetic Plain is polluted. And that is why we need a plan which is supervised and overseen by a statutory body which can actually order, not pass directions, but order different states to comply with what it has mandated.
Interesting, again, solution. Dr. Gufran Beg, Project Director, SAFAR, what would be your solution?
Yeah, Rajdeep, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I will be not only focusing on a stubble burning or something, I will take a broader perspective. Overall solutions for, improving the air quality.
Right.
Now, the point here is that there are one important thing that it cannot be done by one single entity. People around Delhi, other states have to come together, sit on a table and try to do. That is one issue. Now, coming to the point here that it is very simple that I do not know where is the complication in identification of the sources. A lot of things are happening, percentages varying from 4 to 34 and 40. It is all a statistical game. It is, if there is a stubble for 2 months, there is some amount is there. If you divide it by 365, it will come to 4%. If you divide it by 5, then it will come to 40%. If you divide it by 62, it will come out to be some 10 to 15%. So this is something which one has to understand very clearly. Because this problem is there only for 2 months, October and November. There is a Rabi Fasal also burned in March and April. But since weather is not hostile, their contribution we never discuss about it because air quality do not go to the severe category. Well, this said and done, it is very clearly that SAFAR, the Ministry of Sciences, very clearly came out with a 26 sources of pollutants condensed together in a 6 major sources of pollutants, which is very clear, which are the emission sources in the Delhi NCR region. 41% transport sector, 22% industry, which includes not the bigger industries, but all small scale industries plus power plants. Only 5% biofuel emission because most of the still people in the slums all have LPG. And then there are many other different sources that comes out to be around 15%. And so this is, and then wind blown dust.
So what is your solution?
My solution, there are 3 solutions. Number 1, short term, long term, and medium term. Short term, as Madam has already mentioned about it, now we know 3 to 5 days in advance that weather is going to be hostile. If Parali is continue to burn of this time, the air quality will go to severe. Now, my humble request is this, that at least during those periods, when we forecast, farmer could be told that by Abhi, you don't burn it after 7 days when becomes, for example, these days, Parali is burning. So yesterday, 2,500 counts were there. But the share is only 6%, 2%.
Okay,
so
give me your medium-term solution.
Medium-term solutions are that, for example, when the air quality is likely to be, weather is hostile, when these things are happening, you will have to tell whatever is going on this thing, because odd even will not work in Delhi, because this is a Western formula.
Okay. So you believe odd even will not work? You have to find other ways in which to reduce transport in Delhi. What is your long-term solution?
Exactly, because changing from here to electrical vehicles, it is there. The most important thing which I will tell you here today, data which we calculated is that if congestion in Delhi road is there for 2 hours, that gives an emission equivalent to 24 hours of the continuous running traffic. So now you can make out that if a traffic management is done properly, because stagnation, when stagnant traffic, you can't close the engine.
So
red light when it is there,
you're saying you need in the long term traffic management, create ways in which there are specific hours you decongest Delhi, particularly the heart of the city. Am I correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Let me get Ajay Veer Jakhar. You heard a suggestion that in the short term, if air quality becomes severe, the farmers have to, in a way, be told that you can't do stubble burning in this. Is that possible at all? Is this
I think it's out of the hat. I mean, the farmers are burning for 2 reasons. One is that he needs to sow his next crop, and to ask him to delay his burning, I mean, that's the last thing the government can say is you burn, but you burn a little later, would only reduce the wheat yields going forward. So it's a crop cycle, one after the other. There can be a solution, and I think it's a 4 or 5 year solution. It can be very well done. A combination of many solutions will work. There is no silver bullet that one happy seeder or super seeder or one machine will work. It's going to be a in situ and ex situ set of solutions, starting with diversification, starting with making value out of the paddy straw.
How do you do this? How do you believe we can incentivize crop diversification? How do you do it? Why has no government in Punjab been able to do it successfully?
No, Punjab government is not able to do it. It's in a financial. Let's not use the word mess. It's time of elections. It's not in a financially comfortable state as all the other states are. Like I said earlier, it will have to be a partnership with the central government and the state government working together and having an incentive. There are ways to do it. Just announcing an MSP for a different crop will not suffice. You need to create a value chain. For example, India is importing edible oil from abroad. So you could incentivize farmers that they could grow mustard, they could grow other crops, or they could grow oil seeds which could be procured by processing units. They could be in the private sector, they could be in the cooperative sector. There are many ways to do it. You could even make paddy straw digestible for cattle. You could do research in partnership with the Wageningen University, which has such techniques. We could not manage to incite Punjab to do something like that.
Okay, so you're saying you need a policy change in framework where the centre and the states really need to work to incentivize farmers to diversify from traditional paddy crop. Vidyut, are you a firm believer that technology is the way forward going ahead?
I think technology will. Let me just come here. I think. So Rajdeep, let me come here. Before technology, we need better governance. We need better policies. Even if a technology comes, how do you scale it up?
Okay.
How do you assess if that technology is good or bad?
Let Vidyut respond to that. Vidyut, can you scale up this technology?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a believer that, you have a techno fix as a band-aid solution for a problem. And I strongly believe in the approach that we need to work co-creatively with farmers because they're not to blame for this, right? Their hands are also tied.
Right.
And we need to, technical solution needs to be available in such a way that it reduces the last mile access to such equipment and is also not a cost burden to these farmers. So I don't think technology is the answer to everything. You have to be very co-creative and work with the farmers together with them to come up with solutions.
But it's scalable. Am I correct, Vidyut? It's scalable in your view.
Yes, so our initial pilot results have shown that the fertilizers that we developed from these agricultural wastes can increase crop yields by up to 27%. And we're doing this pilot right now in Haryana near Rohtak. together with the World Food Program, where in the village itself, we are collecting rice straws, converting that into this fertilizer product, and then applying that in the village itself, creating a circular economy instead of importing fertilizers from outside. So we think this is a scalable model, and decentralization is the way to go, and it eliminates transportation of agricultural waste over long distances, which has been inhibiting the ex-situ use of agricultural waste like rice straw, because we know that they are very loose, bulky and wet, and therefore very expensive to transport.
Let me, Tanushree, ask you again about, since Delhi is the epicenter of it all, vehicular management. Do you believe, is there a model across the world that can work for Delhi, given Delhi's size and population?
I think congestion pricing is something that Delhi should try out, particularly during the winter season. I also think to some extent bringing in vehicle restrictions, not on the basis of car numbers, but on the basis of emission standards. So Delhi is one of the cities which has access to BS6 fuel, right? We have BS4 engines. So why not bring in these vehicle restrictions on the basis of emission standards? So I really think that cutting down movement of private vehicle could have significant implications of Delhi's air quality. And the idea should be to incentivize use of private transport. But if you are incentivizing use of private transport, you need to offset for the demand by providing adequate public transit infrastructure. So I do think travel demand management could have an implication for Delhi's air quality. I want to make a couple of comments. One on that, when we were speaking about forecasting earlier, Dr. Gufran Bey commented on the use of forecasting to issue directions to farmers. What we need to realize is that this is not the end of the winter pollution season. November and December are going to be bad. We are going to see severe air quality days even after the stubble burning season dies down. So this forecasting mechanism has to become the centerpiece of how we are responding to pollution. While the long-term measures are put in place in terms of improving public transit, ensuring that vehicular emission standards are improved, also ensuring that there is better waste management within the city of Delhi, we also need to make our systems nimble enough to respond to the forecasts that we are getting. What I mean is that we need stronger enforcement.
And I presume that you involve citizens.
Absolutely,
I presume you need to involve the citizens of Delhi in these pollution campaigns. Decentralized was a word that was used. Yes, Vidyut, you want to make a point?
Yeah, I just want to make a quick point that, we seem to be talking about air pollution a lot when it goes into the very poor or severe category, but we need to keep in mind that throughout the year, Delhi has bad air quality, right? So I think our standards overall are very low. Even on air quality index above 100 is bad. And there are many reasons to that, which we have been discussing in detail. So I think overall as a society, we need to really get our act together and put a lot of pressure on the governments and enforcement agencies.
And in a way that you need to ensure, very quickly, Gufran Saab, I have 30 seconds only.
Yeah, in fact, very nice, Vidyut has mentioned this. During the COVID time, when all the anthropogenic activities was off, we have found out the baseline level. Safar has pointed out. Now, those levels are higher than what we have. That is the nature has given us. It is a permanent thing. So I think I fully agree with this point that standard has to, it is too stringent.
But how are we, I will ask just one last question. Maybe Tanushree, you take that. How do you ensure citizens are made aware of it? That citizens become more conscious of it? That we realize the right to breathe is a fundamental right. It can't require the Supreme Court to rage and there are no solutions. How do I make citizens aware?
Absolutely. We need a democratic demand for clean air. There is no denying that. And the citizens, there are multiple things that can be done. Of course, the government can run public awareness campaigns. Right. Civil society organizations can run public awareness campaigns. But what I want people to know, even who tune into this show to know, is that we have a very powerful tool in our hands. We have the powerful tool of social media. We have a tool which is called the Green Delhi app, which the government has made. We need to actively use it to tell people or to tell authorities that there are pollution sources within our vicinity. You will not realize how common these sources are. Right. Somewhere, construction debris are, just lying there. So we need to use these tools. And more than awareness about air pollution, I think it is important for governments to encourage people to use these applications. There is also the need to empanel citizen monitoring groups. Why can't we have ward-level citizen monitoring groups? I think that's very important.
Okay.
Why can't we encourage citizens? Why can't we encourage crowdsourcing of data on pollution sources which are in a city? So these are the different measures in which people can be engaged.
I've run completely out of time, but it's good that all of you have offered potential solutions, because the problem with the crisis and the challenge in the last month has been the blame game. All that is done is one group blames the other, one state blames the other. Farmers are blamed one day, vehicular pollution is blamed the next. We need governance standards to improve, we need awareness standards to improve, and we need this to be a campaign that takes place at multiple levels. I appreciate all my guests joining me on this roundtable. The right to breathe must become a fundamental right for us and indeed for the generations to come. This is going to be a key issue in the 21st century. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe, breathe clean air hopefully one day. Bye for now.